Hello and welcome to the Practice Perfect ICD9 to ICD10 information seminar. One thing I want to point out right off the bat before we begin is everything we are discussing during the seminar can be accessed from this website right up here, www.practiceperfectemr.com ICD10. ICD10 is all in lowercase. Again, www.practiceperfectemr.com ICD10. A couple things I want to point out on this particular website. First of all, about halfway down here, we do have a link right here. Our seminar handout is available at Practice Perfect ICD9 to ICD10 conversion process. So if you click on this, it'll open a document which is basically all the information I'm reviewing on this seminar. So again, worthwhile to download this document, have it handy while you're going through the seminar. The second thing I want to point out is at the very, very bottom, there's two key links. There is ICD10data.com, which takes you to a website where you can get a pretty comprehensive list of ICD-10 codes, how they're used. There's descriptions. You can search for items on here. It's a very, very worthwhile website if you're having trouble coding. And then secondly, we have the index and tabular lists provided by CMS. This is if you want to get into some more depth and be able to look at the codes a bit more specifically, understand what codes are used for what, that sort of thing. So again, this website's key. Any information, anything new, anything we learn, any changes to the update over the course of the next couple of weeks, everything will be posted on this website. It's a good resource to go to if you're having any trouble whatsoever. So a couple things that we want to talk about. First of all, just some general information. As you all know, ICD-10 becomes mandatory for most insurance companies on October 1st, 2015. Some insurers may show leniency, some may not. We really don't know. We're not sure what's going to happen come October 1st. Our payer is going to reject claims, or our payer is going to give you some time to get used to the new code or be forgiving. We really don't know. There's also several payers that are not moving to ICD-10. We've heard that many workers' compensation agencies and auto insurance companies are not making the move. Many are. We don't know. We don't have a list. This is something that's your responsibility. You need to establish, excuse me, with your payers who's moving to ICD10 and who is not. A couple other key points having to do with ICD-10. ICD-10 is a much more detailed and specific code set than ICD-9. For every one ICD-9 code, there may be multiple ICD-10 codes. There could be one, there could be three, there could be 10, depends on the code. There is no one-to-one direct match. As a result, there is no way that we can have a conversion process that automatically moves everything from one to the other. We can help with that, and we do help with that. We'll get into that later, but there is no one-for-one match. Typically, there does have to be some clinical intervention in looking at the codes to decide what's the best fit. Something else that's important, ICD-10 codes cannot be sent to payers with a period. So for example, we're going to go into, take a look at some of our ICD-10 codes that we have in the software here. ICD-10 codes, even though you may have seen them on the various lists with periods, dashes, that kind of thing, mainly with periods, the insurers do not want us to send periods to them, on the claim forms. They want them to be clean without periods. So even though you may have seen them with periods elsewhere, we've purposely omitted the periods just to be able to send the claims to the insurance companies. Something else I want to point out with ICD-10 that hopefully you're aware of, but you notice that some ICD-10 codes are short, for example, S329. Some are long, S22089. Some have X's in them, S233XX. Many of the ICD-10 codes do require what's called the seventh digit, the occurrence digit. This digit basically tells the insurance company if this is an initial claim, is it a subsequent claim, that sort of thing. So there is a seventh letter that is required at the end of many of the ICD-9 codes, mainly the S codes. These are built in. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. But if you do, for example, see a code S233XX, those X's are in there because we have to pad the codes. We have to have 6 digits before the seventh digit. Otherwise, how will the insurance company know it's a seventh digit? So for example, let's say this code was only S23233. We do put two extra X's in here because the seventh digit is required for this particular code. S329 does not have the X's because it does not require the seventh digit code. This is all available from those tabular lists online. S40011 is already 6 digits long. It doesn't require any X's. So again, as a note, any code you see that's padded with X's, it's because that code does require the seventh digit. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes as well. If you are adding any new codes into the system, if they are shorter than digits, if they do need the seventh digit, you will have to add the XX in as well when you add the code. A couple other points having to do with ICD-10. When we look at the deadline, when we look at the October 1st deadline, that is based on when the service happened, not when the claim is submitted. This is a very key point. It's based on when the service happened, not when the claim is submitted. So for example, if you have a whole bunch of charges entered for September with ICD9 codes, and maybe you're not sending those charges in until the 3rd or 4th of October, that's not a problem. It doesn't matter when you send the claims in. It's based on the date of the service itself. September services with ICD9 can be sent in October, no problem. However, and we're going to talk about this later as well, you cannot span ICD9 and ICD10 on one claim. You can't have one claim going to an insurance company that contains both ICD9s and ICD10s, which basically means you can't have one claim going to an insurance company spanning both September dates and October dates. And we are going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. Now, before we go through the changes we've made to Practice Perfect and then talk about your responsibilities, what you're going to do to get ready for ICD-10 and then beyond, the first thing you're going to need to do is download the newest update of Practice Perfect. You're not going to get very far without doing that, and that update is available on this website, the www.practiceperfectdmr.com ICD-10 website. Right up top here, the Practice Perfect ICD-10 update is now available. Click here for more information on installing the update. That will take you to a separate page that will guide you through the installation of the updates. Again, this page has all the information. If you want to do them yourself, that's fantastic. If you need some help with support, then give support a call. Please be aware they're going to be very swamped this month. It's not going to be a very easy month for our support people. They're going to be very, very busy. So the most that you can do, the more you can do yourself, the better. So anything I'm about to discuss coming up is predicated on the fact that you have installed the newest Practice Perfect update. It should be version 442 or greater. If we've released other updates since this recording, it should be at least version 442. So that is something key before we get into the changes that we have made to the software. So let's talk about the changes that we have actually made to Practice Perfect to accommodate ICD-10. And these are in no particular order, and we are going to cover off kind of a list of your responsibilities once this is all done. The release notes also are always available under Help, Most Recent Update Release Notes. That will contain a list of all the changes as well with some details, but I am going to take you through them right here. Number one, under Payers, right here. We'll bring up an insurance company. We'll bring up Geico as an example here. We've added a new field to Payers under the Billing Preferences tab. Payers, Billing Preferences tab called Diagnostic Coding System. This is where we indicate which injury coding system a particular payer wants to receive. As I mentioned earlier, many of your payers are going to be requiring ICD-9. They may not be moving to ICD-10. For those payers, you need to go into the insurance company. We'll pick a different one here. I'll pick maybe Geico Claims as an example. We'll go into this insurance company, into Billing Preferences, and we're going to indicate ICD-9. Very important thing to note. We're going to take a look at another one here. We'll take a look at Medicare as an example. If the payer is moving to ICD-10, you do not need to put anything in here. A blank assumes ICD-10, so it's not necessary. You can put it in if you want, but it's not necessary. Again, the reason we've done this is that most of the insurers are moving to 10. We figure the only work you should have to do is indicate those ones that are ICD-9. Two other changes I want to talk about. Number one is under Housekeeping, Clinical, diagnostic codes, we have added in our pick list of the most common ICD-10 codes. We've added several hundred of these. Undoubtedly, there are some that have been missed or some that are specific to your particular situation. And again, you're free to add these codes on your own. Just to show you how to add new ICD-10 codes, housekeeping, clinical, diagnostic codes, little plus, let's put in a Z9999, and this is another injury, and we have to indicate it's an ICD9, or sorry, ICD10 code, not ICD9. Now, let's say, for example, that this particular code is Z9999 requires that seventh occurrence digit. Well, first of all, right off the bat, it's not long enough. We need it to be 6 digits long, so we're going to put the X padding in here. The way to bring up the window where we're going to add those potential seventh digit code is this little new icon right up top here called diagnostic recurrence code. I'm going to click on this, and this is where we can, for example, say A, it's the initial injury, or D, it's a subsequent injury. More than likely, you're going to be using D more often than anything else, but all the options do need to be in there. So that's how we add a new code, a new diagnostic code into the software should our list not be not be adequate. Now, something else we've added. There is a conversion function we're going to talk about in a couple moments, but there's a table that feeds that conversion function. This is brand new. Under clinical, ICD9 to ICD10 conversion table, we have a list of all of the ICD9 codes and which ICD10 code they match up to. Now, as I mentioned before, there can be several matches. For example, a 344.42 matches up to both a G8323 and a G8324. One's left and one is right. So again, if you want to program in additional matches, let's say again you have ICD9 codes that are not in our system, and you want to put in the corresponding ICD10 codes, you would first add those ICD10 codes in the what we just went through, the diagnostic codes. You would then come in here and you would add little plus sign, the ICD9 code with one line for each corresponding ICD10 code. So let's say there's 4 matches, you're going to be adding 4 lines. Same ICD9 code, the 4 different ICD10 codes. So that's something that is brand new. Now, a key new function that we put in here is the ability for you to actually convert your patients from ICD9 to ICD10. We'll talk about the process and when you're going to do this a little bit later on. We just want to show you where this actually gets done. So we're going to take a patient here. I'm going to take Carol as an example. And you're going to notice a new icon. This little icon right up here, this little, we call it the ICD9 to 10 conversion icon. You're going to find this icon all over the place. We didn't know where you'd be doing this from. You're going to find it in your daily notes, your documents. It's really all over the place. We want to make it as accessible as possible. So let's say that we want to convert Carol from ICD9 to ICD10. And again, we'll talk about when this happens in a couple moments. I'm going to click on this little icon here, and a window is going to pop up. And that window is going to say, here's all the ICD9 codes currently on file for the patient. I can then drop down over here under ICD10 and pick the corresponding code. So a 718.31 actually has 3 matches, right, left and unspecified. Again, someone has to decide this. Someone's going to have to look at this and figure out which one is the accurate one. I'm going to grab the right shoulder. Abnormality of gait, same thing. I'm going to drop down to the appropriate one here. Let's take an 845.02 ankle sprain. And again, I'll grab the left one here. Now, what's interesting about this, you'll notice that S93412 is one of these codes that requires a 7th digit. This is an ICD-10 code that needs a 7th digit. And I'm now being asked for that 7th digit. I'm going to select D. So again, that is built in. We know which codes require the 7th digit. So we do have this conversion routine built in that you can use. We're always going to do add. Don't ever use replace. We're always going to do add. So what you're going to be doing on each one of your patients is going through and converting them from ICD-9 to ICD-10. And hopefully this routine, this new little icon up here, is going to help you do that. So I'm going to click OK right here. A couple other things that you are going to notice. Again, that 7th digit is going to pop up appropriately wherever it's required. Now, a couple of questions that obviously are going to come up. First of all of the reports in the software that do require that seventh digit, anywhere where we're showing injury codes, could be the revenue reports, submission reports, unbilled services, that sort of thing, the seventh digit has been added. You're going to see your ICD-10 code showing up wherever your ICD-9 codes used to show up, no problem at all. The other thing that we've added, you'll notice down here, do you see that little ICD-10 right there? Any patient that you've converted to ICD-10 is going to have that little word, those little words right there. So I know that Carol's been converted to ICD-10. I know Susan has not. I know Steve has. And again, this works from the scheduler, works from the client listing. So it's a very quick way of you knowing who you've actually moved to ICD-10 and who you haven't. So that's a great way to see if you've done them or not. You know, you're looking at a given day, you can see who's been done and who hasn't been done. Something else that has been altered for ICD-10 is on your submission report. So when you're submitting your claims to the insurance companies, and I'll see if I can bring one of these up here. When you're submitting your claims to your insurance companies, let's see if I can actually do an invoice here. We'll see if this comes up here. I'm going to make this invoice up until the end of October and see what we get here. Maybe we can make an error come up. You'll notice there's a new error. Wrong diagnostic coding system used or missing or incomplete. Now you'll notice on October the 3rd, I accidentally used an ICD-9 code to this particular patient, to this particular pair. Therefore, I am getting this error. This error is telling me that I should not have used that coding system. So if you do accidentally use an ICD-9 on an ICD-10 insurance company post October 1st, or if you use an ICD-10 code on an ICD-9 insurance company post October 1st, in your submission report, be it HCFA, electronic HCFA, EDI, you will get a warning. So that's something we've added as well in the hopes of mitigating accidentally sending the wrong codes to the insurance companies. Something else that we have added into the software, very minor, is we do have a new security setting. I'll just show you where this is. If you do want to lock out certain people from having the ability to do their to do the ICD-9 to ICD-10 conversion, we have added can perform ICD-9 to ICD-10 conversion as a security option, which allows you to prevent those from shouldn't be doing this from actually doing it. One key thing that I do want to make note of is you cannot submit a claim form that spans both September and October. I mentioned this earlier. If you try to submit a claim that has both ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes, it will be rejected. You can't do that. When you do your invoicing, when you do your claim submission, even if it's for your September claims at the beginning of October, you have to make sure that no October charges are included on that particular claim. You have to separate September and October. Now, the way to do that, just for those of you that may not be aware of this particular feature, when you are invoicing, let's say you're invoicing, I'll just pick one particular insurance company here, Blue Cross. One of the options when invoicing is you can pick a date, produce invoice as of. So for example, I can say, I only want my claims to go out till September 30th. So let's say here it is, you know, again, October the 5th, October the 6th, whatever the date happens to be, but I do not want to send October and September together. I just want to send September. When I do my invoicing, I'm going to be very careful to specify that this is only going to the end of September. And again, we'll just do a preview on here. And, you know, and you'll see in this particular case, you know, only charges up until the end of September have been submitted. Penny's October charges have not been submitted, and again, we're getting no errors whatsoever because of the fact we haven't used the ICD-9 or we've used ICD-9 code. So again, just to repeat, it's a crucial point. You cannot send claims that span September and October, and if you do, you will get rejections. And again, the way to avoid that is when you are preparing the invoices for your insurance companies, the claims, make sure you use this feature. You may never use this, but make sure you do specify only to submit your claims up until the end of September. And again, this is all on that handout that I was talking about as well. So, so let's now talk about the process. What do you have to do? What do you have to do to get ready for ICD-10? Now, basically, there's a number of things. Number one, first and foremost, you do have to install the new update of Practice Perfect. You're not going to get very far unless you are on version 442 of Practice Perfect. You can tell the version number right up top here. You can also see the version number by doing the help screen right over there as well. It's got to be 442 or above. Number two, and this is an easy task, hopefully an easy task. What you do need to do is go into your payers, and any payer that is still basically using ICD9. You do need to go into that payer, into billing preferences, and indicate that they are staying on ICD9. If you don't do this, the wrong code will be sent, errors will happen. So any insurance companies that you know are sticking with ICD9, you need to go in and change this. Anybody moving to ICD10, you don't have to do a thing. There's nothing you have to do. The other thing that we do recommend you do over the course of September, there's no harm in doing this because, again, you're not sending charges with these new codes, but what we do really recommend is you go into each patient and make sure that their incident statistics, that they're, where basically all of your ICD-9 codes are loaded, you want to make sure that you've also added the ICD-10 codes as well. And again, just to kind of reiterate how we do that, I'm going to get rid of our ones that we've added already here. You're going to, anywhere you can find it, client listing, whatever, you're going to use the little conversion icon and you're going to, pick the matches. Don't worry if you're doing this in September. We're not sending these in September, but by doing this in September, when October 1st hits, you're going to be ready to hit the ground running. So we do recommend that you run through each one of your clients that are going to be active and use this little conversion icon and add the ICD-10 codes. We're not removing the 9s, we're just adding the 10s. That's a key function that you need to do. If you do that, you'll pretty well be ready. Again, install the update, change your payers to ICD-9, and then begin to convert the patients over to ICD-10. So what do you have to do come October 1st? What changes October 1st? Well, let's take Carol as an example. On Carol's record right now, we have ICD-9 codes and we have ICD-10 codes. Again, if we take a look at her records, you're going to see we have both ICD-9 and ICD-10 in her, in her statistics. So here's what happens. In September, here it is, what is it, September the 10th here, we're going to add, new charge for Carol, kind of business as usual, nothing's different. Carol's coming in and having a therapeutic activity, that sort of thing, and we're going to tick her ICD-9 codes, just like we've always done. Nothing has changed. Yes, ICD-10 comes up as an option, but we're not going to tick those. They're not relevant until October the 1st. So again, no problem. Here we are. We've added a charge to Carol. So let's say it's now October. Here it is. September is come and gone, and maybe we're billing out our charges. Maybe we're billing them out in October. We talked a bit about that. But here it is. Let's say that we are maybe into the 2nd of October, and Carol comes in today. The first time Carol comes in post October 1st, the very first time, what you need to do is this. Carol comes in, we're going to add her charge. Maybe she's having therapeutic activities again, whatever the case is, but we are no longer billing using the ICD-9 codes. We're going to remove the ICD-9. We're going to replace them with the ICD-10. You have to do this once. The very first time the patient is billed in October, you need to do this. Again, let me reiterate this. We're going to go back a step here. Carol comes in. It's the first time she's been in October. We're going to remove the 9s. We're going to tick the 10s, the appropriate 10s. And again, you only have to do it once. Once you've done it once, it'll happen, moving forward, no problem at all. That's a crucial thing to do. Worst case, you forget to do this. When you run your submission reports, it'll show you still have ICD-9s under certain patients that really should be ICD-10. So yes, it'll be a pain, but hopefully you'll catch it before it goes out to the insurance company. The last thing we want to talk about, the big question is, okay, here it is. It is October. It's the middle of October, and we want to resubmit old claims. We have to resubmit claims from August or September. Maybe it's December. We need to resubmit claims from a previous month. Not an issue. The way that we have this designed is if you resubmit a claim, it will be resubmitted based on what was originally on that claim. So even if it's into October, November, you've entered a bunch of ICD-10s, you've converted the patient over to ICD-10. If you go and resubmit a claim back from August, September, it will automatically, without you having to do anything, it will resend that claim with the original ICD-9 codes. Again, just to stress, if you resubmit a claim, it will submit with the original codes. Again, if you try to resubmit something that spans September and October, you're going to run into trouble. So let's not do that. Let's make sure we get everything invoiced at the end of September. Some final words. Number one, if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to contact our support department. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of changes, a lot of new knowledge coming over the course of September and October. We're going to use this website, the one I have up on the screen, the ICD-10 one. Oh, that's not the ICD-10 one. We'll put the ICD-10 one back on the screen here. We're going to use this as a kind of a newsletter communication tool. So if there's anything you want to find out, anything that's really big has happened, it is going to be up here on this particular website. So that's number one. I would use that as a reference. Don't be shy. Call support if you have any questions at all as well. Hopefully, we'll be a couple chapters ahead of everybody else. And again, keep us posted if you do run into any weird situations, any pairs. We're staying on ICD9. Let us know. The more knowledge we have, obviously, the better as well. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this seminar. I hope you found it informative. Would love some feedback. We'd like to do many more of these. Now that we sort of have this technology up and running, we'd love to do seminars on reporting, on custom documentation, on understanding the system a little bit better as well. So our intention is to do more both live and recorded seminars as well, getting more into the whole self-help realm as well. So if you have any ideas about what you'd like to see us cover as topics, by all means, we want the dust to settle on ICD-10 first. And again, we want to thank you all for being Practice Perfect clients. We appreciate your support, and don't be shy. If we can do anything for you, please let us know. Thank you once again.